name is Caen Contee, founding member, and I head up the marketing and partnerships team for LimeBike. LimeBike is your most convenient form of rideshare. It's a bike share system which allows for you to grab a bike from anywhere, use your smartphone, unlock it, ride it wherever you want, lock it, and pay $1 for 30 minutes, and allows you to have a hassle-free way of getting around town for that first and last mile. And that's the larger vision, is how do you have something where you can not only go and grab your light rail station from work and then get off at sort of your home and then get another sort of bike and get there conveniently. That's the vision, that you don't have to really think about boundaries anymore with bike share. Okay, so this is our first version of the bike. So ultimately what's important here is this smart lock. And what you'll see here is there's a trigger that as I lock will allow you to therefore prevent this bike from being used. When you though go back up to this bike when it's locked and you scan any of these QR codes or you put in these license plate numbers, this lock will automatically open, beginning your ride. That ride then allows you again to go anywhere you want, and ultimately your app is giving you instructions when you're ending your ride on where you're allowed to legally park a bike, at which point you lock that lock and it then charges you based on time. So this particular version, which is a pedal bike, and we have a 1, 3, and 8-speed version, which we launched depending upon topography, allows us to think of it as a per minute ride. So for every 30 minutes you get charged $1. Now our new product here is the e-assist bike. Electric assist is what that means. An electric assist bike gives you additional boost when you're pedaling. So you can go as fast as 15 miles per hour, and it gives you a distance of 62 miles per hour. Now you see this is a battery here that ultimately is swappable. So we as an operations team will replace this when it dies, with the idea being that every 62 miles it needs to be recharged. We get a back end ping that say, hey, it's now at 10%, go recharge or replace the battery, right? And ultimately the idea for us as a consumer, you don't ever think about that, you just enjoy the experience, and we're creating a fleet that's always available for you with that extra boost. Ultimately, the pricing is that it's now $1 to unlock and then $1 for every 10 minutes. So slightly more expensive, but obviously most rides are going to be 10, 20 minutes, and so you're paying $2 to theoretically go across a full city footprint. Obviously, we make sure that we have lime green, very clear, visible bikes for safety, as well as making it easy to find. We have a team that's always going around and not only making sure that brakes and other things are working well, but they're also polishing and making sure the bikes look beautiful, that they're parked well. All those things are vital to running a program. Ultimately, the bikes are made for you as a rider to be able to take anywhere. We as a company will then bring them back to places that they're supposed to be. So we work proactively with municipalities, with universities, and say, hey, when a bike ends up in your area, we'll come get it and take it back and put it in an area it's supposed to be within a certain period of time. We're very collaborative. Every single market of the 40 plus that we've launched in the United States now has started with an agreement between either a university or a city, and growing over time, typically with a pilot program, and then more bikes as they begin to see data that says, hey, here's how many rides are happening, here's where the demand is, here's where we need more bikes, all those sorts of things that we can generate and collaboratively give the city for data. So we grow those programs together, and they put money not towards bikes, but actually towards bike lanes and towards infrastructure, so we see a change in the overall footprint. Ultimately, the bikes themselves are anti-theft. So one, all of the tool sets that you couldn't go to a bike shop and just buy a normal wrench size or anything else and then change or otherwise try and take off a tire with our bikes. Two is we have sensors throughout the bikes. So there's sensors that tell us if you've moved the bike. There's accelerometers that tell if you've moved too fast. If a bike tips over, we know it's horizontal, and therefore it's time to go and pick it up and make sure it's parked correctly. So all of those things have done to optimize, and that means that across our entire fleet, we see less than 1% vandalism or theft. We see it as a numberful. One is it begins to really prevent congestion, a lot of the pollution, single occupancy vehicles, which are a problem in many of these parking issues, end up becoming something that are alleviated. But really what we see as sort of a community aspect of this is that it begins to make the streets more live. That you're ultimately seeing retail shops get people to stop there. You're seeing the ability to quickly jump out of your house and go run a bank errand or something else without having to jump in your car. It's easier to stop when you're on a bike and talk to people. So it really is a more vibrant form of transportation, as much as it is obviously a more convenient and affordable one.